Welcome back, everyone. Our topic this morning, again, the control of the land in Utah. Should it be federal? Should it be state? Should it be local? And while we were in break, John Harja, you mentioned that the issue really isn't the ownership of the land, but who manages the land. So would you prefer to see the land stay under the ownership of the federal government and then just have more local management, state management?
Well, I mean, let's talk about what we're here to discuss, access. We need access for natural gas, oil, we need access for recreation, we need access for timber cutting. How can we best get that is the point, at the most efficient manner. I'm not sure the federal government with its expensive non-producing planning process is getting us anywhere. Let's talk about more efficient ways to get those decisions made and ways to make them stand, so that you're not constant litigation.
Are there areas of Utah you would not open up to oil, gas development?
Well, that's a choice I think we have to make. If we want to have areas that should be preserved for their beauty, like Zion National Park, I have no problem there. There's areas where we need to produce water, and the federal government's work on Bureau of Reclamation, for example, Flaming Gorge Dam, certainly seems appropriate for us. There are areas where I think in the Uinta Basin, the state control might be better served, Sitla, for example, to produce the natural gas we need.
Is the farmers and ranchers, are they having problems with water? And
Certainly, there's ongoing battles. These are guys that have ranched on a lot of these lands for 150 years. They know what it takes to produce meat and wool and so forth off these public lands in a sustainable manner. They know they have to do it in the right way to come back and produce another crop next year to help feed us. We are still able to sustain ourselves as a country. We produce enough food to feed us. There's other resources we're not doing as well. You know, going back to the timber issue, it frustrates me when we're importing 70% of our timber and we're watching billions of board feet rot and be eaten by infestations of insects, and we're not able to go get that and use it for our benefit.
Pat, when you were director of the BLM on the national level, did you consider and discuss local and state issues with local and state politicians too in regards to managing the land?
Secretary Babbitt and President Clinton, Vice President Gore insisted that people at my level of government visit as often as they could. I visited 150 out of 250 offices of BLM. I visited each of the Western governors. We formed resource advisory committees, or RACs, so that people at the local level could advise local BLM offices, state BLM offices, about policies that they thought would be complementary. But, you know, Randy, part of where I have a problem, just on the lumber question, is in a different capacity, you'd be talking about the free market. Well, the free market has been working on a global basis, and the regional or state protectionism that is your advocacy is exactly the reason that we are falling so far behind in terms of being competitive on a global basis. We're trying to pull back in and say, we're going to protect Utah. Don't worry about Nevada, don't worry about, but let's just protect Utah.
Pat, I disagree. I think it's more about special interests that are suing the federal government. As example, here in the last week or so, the Justice Department, or in the last few weeks, and Fish and Wildlife came to an agreement with Wild Earth Guardians and Center for Biological Diversity. They're giving them $206 million because they filed on 1,000 species of worms, bugs, and other critters out there that there's no way the BLM and the Forest Service and the Fish and Wildlife Service can do all of the paperwork on that. They're giving them taxpayer money, $206 million. That's $200,000 a bug to settle out of court, to move this thing beyond the logjam that it's had in the courts. There's something wrong with that.
Now, doesn't this become a much larger than federal issue federal versus state issue, as opposed to local land control and access, as you were mentioning, John?
Certainly. That's got to do with the Endangered Species Act, and you know what? That's a failure of the first degree.
And how many critters have come off of it? A whole other issue, too, than what we're getting. We show the story on access, public access, and that's a concern of quite a few people in the state of Utah. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll find out if there is enough public access and how it's being handled right after this.
Are you looking for a getaway, a place to beat the heat, crowds, and find adventure? Get to the point. Just get off I-15 in Beaver, Utah and head up State Route 153 to Eagle Point Resort, a year-round destination nestled just outside the community of Beaver, Utah. Get to the point. Eagle Point Resort.
Logan, Utah. We've got it all and so can you. It's in your own backyard.
So, what brings you to town?
What brings anyone to St. George? A couple rounds of golf, a little relaxation.
What, is that all?
Is there more? In a retirement community? Should have stuck with the back nine.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.